As Alf is fixing his hair, welcome to the
Oh,
latest
cockeyed, man.
Skullick here with Alphonse Sidney and Alex. What's this? You gotta look a certain way, Alf, because we
No, it's just
replaced
like
both my name
cockeyed.
and Chris Redman.
I look like the guy from Kid and Play.
You always look like the guy from Kid and Play. All right, that's Alphonse Sidney at Alf954. On the other side, the one actually paying attention is Alex Toledo. You can follow him at Tropical Blanket. We are not in Denver tonight. We are all in various locations in South Florida. I think two of us in Broward and one in Dade. Miami Heat are in Denver tonight. The big story, though, other than this team being 5-1, and we'll talk about some of the implications of this game and this road trip, is that Dion Waiters was supposed to be active tonight until he wasn't. Eric Spoelstra revealed before the game. Eric has talked very little about Dion, but he revealed before the game, Ira Winderman and others tweeted this out, that he had a conversation with Dion and that Dion is with the team, but he will not be active tonight. Now, I had Bobby Marks from ESPN on a podcast that we posted this morning, and Bobby said he does not believe Dion Waiters will play another meaningful minute for the Miami Heat. I mean, I guess there could be garbage time. Alf, what do you make of this?
I feel two ways about it. One, I agree with Bobby Marks. I don't think he's ever going to play for a meaningful minute again for the Miami Heat. I absolutely agree with that. I think the bridge is too burned. I believe when you start just calling out the head coach like that on social media, there's been issues in the past. The team just really feels like they're in the right direction. No nonsense right now. So I understand where he's coming from. But there's another part of me that says that he could still use this guy. Like the fact that the team is this deep is one of their strengths. So yeah, he is kind of expendable because of Kendrick Nunn, how well Tyler Hero is playing. But there's always injuries, right? There's a rookie wall that Nunn and Hero might hit at some point. So he is a valuable member of the team. We saw what James Johnson did when he came back when he's healthy and in shape. So in shape and engaged Dion was going to be a help to this team. It's a little disheartening to me that he could not buy in. I thought he had a huge opportunity this year. So I'm sad that he won't play, but I agree with Bobby. I don't think he's going to play.
Alex, he play another meaningful minute this year for the
Another meaningful minute.
Yeah.
It really doesn't look like it. Like I was talking about. I've been hoping that he can kind of play his way back into the lineup. I do think he's somebody who could help the team when he's healthy, but it's not looking like they're going to budge on that. They have so many guys already that they have to play. They're back into the business of, having a log jam, and it's a luxury at this point, right? And because of that luxury, they can afford to just yo-yo him around until they eventually get rid of him. I do think it's going to make it harder to get rid of him, though.
But how about this? How about the fact that they can just show him, hey, look how well we're playing without you. And then at some point say, listen, do you want to buy back into this? Because let's say they reel off 2 out of these next 3 wins. They get to the point they're maybe 10-3, something like that. They're on top of the Eastern Conference. Can they go back to Dion and say, listen, do you want to be a part of this? And do you think there's any way that Dion can maybe say, yeah, listen, I was in the wrong. I want to come back in. I want to be the 8th, 9th guy off the bench, and I want to contribute.
Well, Alex, that's the issue, though. Like when you start talking to him about, what it could be, this is a guy who came in thinking he would be like maybe the second leading scorer on this team. I mean, knowing Dion, he probably thought he was going to be the leading scorer on this team.
He thought he was going to start over Jimmy.
Correct. And now you're basically saying to him, well, not only are you not starting, but you're not even one of the 2 primary guards off the bench. And so we might be able to find some spot minutes for you unless somebody else gets hurt. I mean,
but would that have been the case if he had bought in? Do you think?
Well, maybe. But here's the other thing, Alf. We don't know when he stopped buying in, right? Like, we're assuming that this happened, right, as it did, where he had that issue on the bench in that road game, and then started going off on Instagram. But I mean, there were issues last year. I mean, I reported them last year. Like there was. I had heard there was a suspension that never got reported publicly. Like there have been things going on with Dion for a while. So this is not. There wasn't like one incident. Like the Heat are not like that. Like one incident wouldn't have triggered this. Like this has been a repeat. I mean, look how much stuff Hassan did, and yet they still tried to make that thing work. Now, obviously, he was a max player. It's a little different. But I mean, with this. This has been building, and they've just had enough. So they're going to present to him, hey, you can come back and be the 9th, 10th, 11th guy. Is he ever going to accept that when they know he knows they've been trying to trade him? To me, this is looking at a banishment situation. I hate to say it, but I think there's going to be another incident, and then I think they're finally going to say just leave the team. I mean, and teams have done that with players before. There was
with 2 years left on their deal.
Well, I got to look at the circumstances of it, but I remember a few years ago, and I worked with him actually, so I should probably reach out to him and ask him. But Raja Bell, remember that?
Yeah.
He was sent away. Was it Utah that he was sent away from? I forgot which team it was, but I'll look it up. But this would not be the first case of just a team and a player not agreeing on something. The problem, Alex, and I'll go to you on this now, is that we talked about if he doesn't play, he's not going to re-increase his value. I don't know that anything he does on the court increases his value at this point. Like, this is a question of, do you want to bring a guy into an organization who thinks he's the best player on the floor but doesn't conform? Look what's happening to Carmelo because of that same attitude. He can't get on a team. And, we can talk about what Carmelo has not been the past 3-4 years, but he's also, a borderline, not even borderline. He's a Hall of Famer, and nobody will sign him. So who's going to trade for Dion Waiters at this stage without the Heat having to attach an asset or take a contract back that they don't want to take back?
I do understand what you're saying because I do think at this point it comes down to whatever else you get alongside Dion if you're trying to get him in a trade. But at the same time, I can't help but feel like a team would like to see that he can actually still play out there, right? And I do think it's a thing where now, like we were talking about before, they have the luxury of being able to play 12, 13 guys, you can say, if you're including guys like Chris Silva and Duncan Robinson, along with now, DJJ. Like, they have a lot of guys that can play. If you can work him in slowly with some backup minutes at the 3, so a little bit at the 2, I think that's the best way for a team to, try to buy in on him. Not that it's an easy sell, but it's hard otherwise because you haven't really seen him.
Well, what about this guy? What the question I have? We're talking about 2 years left on his deal. With the kind of pride that Dion has and wants to play, are they looking at banishing him for this year and hoping that he just doesn't opt in next year?
Well, that might happen. There was kind of the hope with Whiteside that would be the case, and I told you guys that was never going to happen. But Dion's money is a lot less.
It's $12 million.
It's a possibility, but I want to throw one more thing, and then we'll get off the Dion topic here because there's other players on the team who are kind of worth our attention at this stage. But here's the other problem with giving him minutes. So you're basically preaching this culture thing, right? You've got Jimmy leading it. Everybody buys in. Everybody's working their asses off. You've got Duncan Robinson's had 2 big games right now. So are the minutes are going to be taken away? How do you explain to Duncan Robinson?
That's why he can't. That's why he'll never play again.
Right. I mean, how do you explain to the other players? You're not taking. I mean, everything that Kendrick Nunn has done to get on the floor, everything that Tyler Hero has done to get on the floor. Okay, obviously Winslow is going to get heavy minutes. You're not taking away minutes from Goran. I mean, Goran's the guy who's bought in. So who it's Duncan, right, or somebody like that?
It's definitely Duncan, and he's gonna have to eat into whatever minutes DJJ was supposed to get as well. Which again, none of this seems very realistic.
But neither of those guys deserves that. That's the issue. All right, let's get to the next topic here, which is they're playing a really, really good team tonight. That is not off to a great start. Not the start we expected. I know Mike Malone's been over them a little bit, all over them, because he's basically said that they're kind of resting on their laurels at this stage. But they're deep. They've got good guard play. They've got an MVP candidate at center. Obviously, there's one matchup to watch tonight for me, and it's Bam on Jokic, considering what Bam's numbers have been. But the Heat don't have a back-to-back going into Denver, which I feel like every time I was covering a Nuggets game, it was the second night of a back-to-back and knew the Heat couldn't win.
Schedule loss.
Right, schedule loss. But I don't feel like this one is necessarily. They went out early to get used to the altitude. The Nuggets are not playing at the level they were playing at late last season. Alex, how do they win this game?
So it's funny that you say that about the matchup thing as far as, Bam on Jokic. I was actually talking about this on Twitter with somebody that it will be interesting to see if they actually go with Myers Leonard to start on Jokic at the beginning of the game for the same reason you went Myers Leonard guarding Cat in that one Minnesota game. But I actually like this one a lot better because Jokic is not a guy who's going to go at you as a scorer every single time. So I don't think Myers is that susceptible. And Jokic is also 50 pounds on Cat, and he's not going to blow by you. Like, he'll blow by Myers Leonard at any point.
You just want to say Jokic is slow.
I mean, I love Jokic, man.
So do I, but he's slow.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Well, he's fat right now. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not. He didn't exactly come. I mean, could you imagine Jokic in the Heat's conditioning program? Well,
no,
I mean,
exactly. Would have never traded for him.
Would be at the Heat's conditioning
He'd
program.
look like
just the kind of
Porzingis.
passer he is. So is that the matchup here, or I mean, obviously Jamal Murray's. I mean, they got a lot of guys you got to worry about.
I think the thing is they play the passing lane so much in the sense of like they have Jokic set up, whether it's in the mid post or whatever, and had him kind of play quarterback where everything else is happening around them. I guess having those plus defenders trying to cut off those passing lanes, to me, would be a good strategy. But I would obviously defer to Spoelstra there.
Spoelstra, right?
Yeah,
Spoelstra.
Spoelstra. I'm sorry. Alf, what do you see here?
The Heat they have to continue what they've been doing, and I know that's an easy thing to say, but what they've been doing is kind of out of this world, which is why I'm not that optimistic about tonight, because it's just they've been on such a high lately. There has to be a letdown game coming, and for the pace that they've been playing at, the offense, the way the offense has been running, the defense in the high altitude on a West Coast trip, I'm worried about the letdown game. I really am. So I'm hoping that they can just maintain.
Having a letdown game against Denver, though, like I feel look, I know Phoenix is playing really well, and Booker just dropped 40 on Philadelphia, but I feel like if that was the first game of this trip, I think there's the possibility of that, because I still don't think Phoenix.
Well, not letdown as far as letdown.
Denver was in the West Finals.
Losing to Denver is not a letdown. I don't mean it that way. I meant as far as just what the Heat themselves have been doing. The fact that they're fourth in defensive rating, ninth in offensive rating, first net rating, the fact that the pace is still top 10. I want to see them continue those things, whether it comes out with a win or not. It's just going to be, to me, it's hard. Maybe I'm just trying not to get too excited about the team right now, because I've been on Twitter all day and everybody's predicting a finals run, and maybe I'm trying to, I'm kind of trying to set it here that this might not be the game that we're all looking forward to. I hope so. What the things that Jokic can do, the fact that we're going to be throwing Myers and Olynyk at him, to me, this doesn't bode well, because a lot of the times when you're playing a team like Denver for the Heat, when there's a lot of different ways for them to attack you, the Heat have trouble with those teams. When they can focus it on a guy and take a guy completely out of the picture, the Heat play better, or they have a better chance of winning. When there's a team like Denver where they can attack you from so many different places, I feel like sometimes the Heat, they struggle with teams like that. And Denver's like the ultimate team where they can hit you 1,000 different ways. And yes, Jokic is a focal point, but they can do a lot more outside of just Jokic.
Well, but I think you always know in Denver in the first quarter. That's been my experience from covering a bunch of games there. You know whether this team has the legs. And the reason I think that they can compete tonight is because they can roll 11 or 12 guys. Like that's been a big issue in Denver in the past, where they just haven't had enough bodies. And sometimes they'd be coming in second night of a back-to-back. I remember, Dwayne sitting out games in Denver just because it was second night of a back-to-back. It just wasn't worth pushing it. That's not going to happen tonight. They have everybody but Dion. They're pretty fresh. Nobody played big minutes the other night. They got adjusted to the altitude. I feel like they're going to – I don't know that they win tonight, but I think this is going to be a good performance tonight. To me, I look at this road trip and I say, I feel this team's feeling itself a little bit. But I didn't get the sense of overconfidence or cockiness at this stage. I think a 2-1 trip is possible. To me, if they get a 2-1 trip, they come back, they get Detroit on a Tuesday night. The Pistons are not playing particularly well. You're looking at
missing a lot of their guys too.
I'm missing a lot of their guys. I mean, you're right. I mean, the backcourt's out. Blake's
2-1. 2-1 is the. I mean, they come back 2-1. Nobody should be upset about that, right?
No.
Even though people will still be upset, but I'm just saying if they come back 2-1, that's an amazing trip.
One of the things, let's get to this, Alex, because before we close here, one of the things that you've been focusing on a little bit is the Butler-Winslow combination, which looks so good defensively during the preseason, but offensively, obviously there's some duplication there. They may get in each other's way a little bit. You've had Justice out now for a couple games. How do you think that plays out now? I mean, Jimmy's only shooting 39% from the field. I mean, I know he's doing some things really well, but he's not in a shooting rhythm yet. Where do they go with that?
I mean, I guess I don't really know the answer as far as just how would I go about it, but I guess just try not to force the issue. I want to see Justice back into being the point guard. I don't want him to be somebody who takes up too much of the ball handling, but again, I want to see how if I'm sorry, I'm like stumbling a lot, but it's hard to picture right now how Justice and Jimmy are going to look together because we've seen so little of it. And I just want to see more of it. I want to see them both try to, do their best to play with each other. And that's why, I'm glad that they got shooters in the lineup. But it's also why I'm a little bit worried about the Heat right now. Their three-point shooting efficiency has been so damn good. Their true shooting is up. Their effective field goal percentage is up because of it. That it feels like it's going to have to come down at some point. And also, Denver.
It's scary, man. It's scary.
I'm looking at the rankings, and Denver is 19th in offensive rating via NBA.com stats. Like, it feels like there's going to be some balancing out there. Denver's playing at home. Not saying that it won't be a good game. I think it will be. I think it's a decent matchup for the Heat. But I am interested to see how that dynamic works out because I'm still not feeling 100% great about it. The Justice and Jimmy stuff, I mean.
Well, I mean, you're talking about regression in the mean both ways, or progression in the mean in Denver's case. And I can see it, and we're so early in the season that there's so much noise in the numbers. Like, I get that. But at the same time, I'm looking at their shooting, and I'm saying, why can't they sustain something close to this? Maybe not at the level of the first 6 games. They're always going to have 4 good passers on the floor. Always. When you have good passers on the floor, it creates open shots. Then you have guys who are natural stickers. I mean, Hero is one. Nunn is another. Duncan Robinson is another. That's 3. Myers Leonard is another. So, I mean,
you can count Kelly and Goran as plus shooters as well.
Right. Kelly and Goran were the top 2 3-point shooters on the team over the past couple of years, right? I mean, basically by percentage. And then you're talking about, I mean, Justice hasn't hit a rhythm there yet, but 38% the last 2 years. It's got to be specific shots. We haven't even gotten Jimmy's become a better pure shooter over the years. He's not great, but they have enough. Like, I felt like some of the big 3 teams would throw, they obviously had, guys with pedigree like Miller and Battier and etc. But this team may have more of them. Maybe they don't have a Ray Allen, but they have more of them. I don't know that all of a sudden their shooting's going to go in the tank. I don't see it. To me, my concerns about them, have to do more with I still see rebounding as potentially a concern as the season goes forward.
They're 4th in
rebounding team so far.
Yeah, they're 4th in rebounding percentage this year, which is crazy to me.
But that one, I don't know if that's going to hold.
It's actually Ethan, 3rd right now.
Wait, how funny is it that, Ethan, you're the one positive right now, and I'm scared. I'm scared shitless
because
over here.
I'm positive about this team in a way that I wasn't about the teams the past 2 years because it was just obvious in training camp that Spoelstra likes to coach. See, you have to take your cues. This is my whole thing. Like, people were like, why are you so confident about this team? All right, I've covered Eric Spoelstra in some capacity for 20-something years. He was happy. He knows his team better than we know his team, okay? And it wasn't just that Hassan was gone. It's that he had a lot of pieces to play with. And there wasn't just one direction he could go. He felt like there were a lot of different ways he could go with this roster. And that's played out so far. And I've said this on the last podcast with Maddox and with Zach. Everybody was killing him for playing Myers Leonard and Duncan Robinson all those minutes. And look,
I was not.
Well, not you, but look who were the 2 best offensive players on the floor.
Just at me.
He knows his team, I think. Even though it's a new team, I think he has a sense of his team. And I will say this: nothing we've said about this team has turned out to be wrong yet. Okay, people are saying, is Kendrick not going to be in the rotation? Yes, we said. And a lot of the other things that have played out here in terms of Hero getting minutes, Dion getting banished, Dragic being set for 6-man. This has been a very easy team to figure out. So you think somebody like Eric Spoelstra, who's 1,000 times more intelligent than us about basketball, isn't going to figure it out? And that's why I've taken my cues from him. He likes this team. So why don't we like this team?
I mean, listen, I love this team. And I was big on Myers Leonard from the beginning. Honestly, he's made me look like I actually know what I'm talking about, which I really do appreciate. Thank you, Myers. I honestly think I have PTSD from the last 4 Heat seasons. Everyone's like, cocky Heat fan is back. I'm sitting here like, no, we're not. Everyone calm down. I'm trying to temper expectations. But listen, man, the team is fun. This is exciting. 46 points in the first quarter the other night. It's pretty ridiculous what they're doing, and that's why I'm a little bit afraid of it. But man, listen, they're doing this, Ethan, without a single offensive explosion from Jimmy Butler yet.
Butler. He hasn't led the team in
Justice,
scoring
since
in
he's
any
been
of the 6
gone.
games. I know he's only played 3 of them, but he has not led the team in scoring. Starting lineups beneath us right there. So as we expected, pretty much.
Yeah, they went back.
Butler, Leonard, Adebayo. So this is the lineup I think that they're going to roll with. And again, that means Dragic and Hero off the bench. Probably James Johnson because, without DJJ. So probably James Johnson gets some minutes up front. And Kelly Olynyk.
DJJ is active, isn't he?
What's that?
DJJ is active.
Oh, he's active too. So that's another body. So
We'll see if they play him over Duncan.
I mean, where's Dion Waiters going to play?
Ethan, they can go 12 deep. They literally have 12 guys they can play. And that's without Casey Okpala. We don't even know what he is yet.
No, I mean, this is a redshirt year for him.
Casey's definitely on the back burner now.
Yeah. No, I mean,
but if Dion would have been engaged, they had 12 guys they could legit play every single night.
Right. It's the deepest team they've had, actually.
I think with Dion, it might be 13 if you're counting Dion, because including like guys like Silva and DJJ.
Well, actually, you're right. No, Dion would make 13 guys they could play.
Just basically say everybody but your D, all right? And then I'm going to tell you.
Hey. Listen, I got to see that guy.
All right, here, we got T-shirts, by the way. We did a redesign of 5reasonsports.com today, so you can find the merchandise a little easier. See the 5 on the floor shirt? I got a little big for myself. I'm not extra large. Anyway.
What was that disclaimer?
Enjoy the game. We also got the Bucket Brothers T-shirts on there. Thanks everybody for joining us. We did see the comments. We tried to blend in as many as we possibly could. We're doing a pod after the game. Is that the plan?
Yeah, if I'm awake.
Yeah.
Me too. All right.
All right, guys.
Enjoy the game.